Hopefully they'll follow that storyline.
Talk about Spirit number 12, where the Spirit punches a bear.
Great way for Darwyn Cooke to end his run.
He's like, it's a moody day in the city. That's amazing.
And all the teeth and the blood from the bear form the words of the Spirit.
Have you guys been reading the Spirit series at all? I know it's at the...
I've read every issue but this one because I haven't been to the comic shop yet, and it's one of the best things DC's coming out. Because it's not tied to 52 comic. I can understand it. So no, seriously, it's the most beautiful book they're putting out.
That was.
Unfortunately, this is the last issue from Darwyn Cooke and Jay Bone.
But he's going to do the New Frontier special, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Love the New Frontier.
But bittersweet a little bit.
How so? You mean you didn't like it?
No, it was amazing, but it was the last one. That's why it's bittersweet.
Sure.
What did you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean?
What did I mean?
This issue's a retelling of a Will Eisner story.
Yes, it's 2 other issues.
Yeah.
2 sans serif issues in it.
It's very good. I gotta tell you, honestly, as much as I can completely recommend this book, first issue I was totally in love, and I think somewhere along the way I lost my love for the series.
What? Wow.
Get out of here.
That's weird. There were a couple issues that were a little... You leave that?
No, that was bullshit. That's absolutely...
All right, let's get down.
And I'm back, and Spirit was awesome.
Yeah!
Wow, did you just get punched or something?
I think so. Like their eyes are over.
Yeah. I love this. It's just great stories, and this really, it was sad.
Yeah,
it was
really.
sad. It was a tearful read for me a little bit. It's hard to see the pictures through the salty water.
Maybe that was my problem. I couldn't read it properly. It was correct. Anyway, it's very good. Definitely pick it up and pick it up in trades. I think.
We'll see what happens in the future with the Spirit. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a tough run to follow.
Well, that's really keep going with Sergio, right?
Yeah.
So it should be interesting. That's very.
That's Sergio.
Let's move on and talk about the latest issue of the Mighty Avengers, kicking off the Venom things attack.
Kicking off is a strong word.
That was like 3 comics ago, and then you've been waiting for it, and then it's finally here.
Basically, the schedule with Mighty Avengers and New Avengers got, it was supposed to tie in together very nicely, didn't quite tie in together very nicely, and so New Avengers has already told essentially this entire storyline.
Well, the worst thing is they just told you what happens in the end. They didn't tell the story, and so now we're like, what's the point of reading?
That being said,
The journey.
So you don't like non-linear storytelling?
Well, no, I like non-linear, but not by non-linear. Do you mean like
You know, you start with the end, and you flash by Michael Clayton.
Oh, that kind of non-linear.
the non-linear is not linear. That's
You watch your team win a football game if you already know who won.
Bingo. That's the issue. That's the
Or do
non-linear.
you just like turn off Sunset Boulevard after the first 2 minutes? Screw this. He's in the pool.
Don't get me started on Sunset Boulevard. Let's not go there.
That's a whole other show.
Anyway,
They punch
this
a
seemed
bear.
like
it's a solid issue. You know, it's solid and it's enjoyable. I'll definitely read it because Mighty Avengers continues to be very good. But I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
We lost control.
I'm listening. Oh yeah. Wow, that was fast.
Yeah. Usually it only takes like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on and talk about Wolverine, which was.
This was a particularly good book.
Oh.
I'm ready.
Let's talk Wolverine a little bit.
Watch out.
I said bring it.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see what
He's gonna break it.
So he's got opinions laced with adamantium. So.
I'm a huge Wolverine fan. And what I enjoyed about this is we got, Wolverine he made a deal and he didn't have to kill a whole bunch of backstory or anything. He was just able to make a deal.
It's like a double burn.
But what I was curious about is...
help?
Yeah.
There's a lot of going back, and forth.
Just to explain the plot really quickly for those of you who haven't read it.
You can explain the plot really quickly. You're better than me.
Yeah.
When I say really quickly, you guys have a couple of hours, right? Basically, Wolverine, every time he dies, has to face the Angel of Death in a sword battle to come back to life. And this is essentially.
When I go to sleep, good job.
And this is essentially wrapping up that storyline in a certain way.
Yes.
It almost hit me as kind of a fix in a certain way.
Streamlining.
You know, I guess so. It's funny. In many ways, it started out as me just trying to answer a question I always had as a fan, which is, you know, we've seen Wolverine regenerate from as little as a drop of blood. Like, I get how his body regenerates. I totally understand that. But what I don't get is, well, I do. I mean, I can buy it.
Like, you can scientifically reproduce it.
And what I always wondered, just as a reader, is okay. Well, how does he come back with all of his memories and his soul and his whole personality, and the whole bub thing? You know,
How does he remember?
and it literally started. I was like, okay, well, and I was trying to figure out, okay, what's the answer to that question?
And you were like, fight Angel of Death when you die.
Yeah, exactly. It made perfect sense. Well, I thought to myself, well, what if, you know, there was a situation whereby his soul was essentially in play? You know, it could, his soul, you know, his body could be killed, and normally if your body's killed, in my experience, your soul goes to the afterlife. But what if
Scientifically proven.
Scientifically proven, right up there with, you know, creationism. And, which, by the way, 50% of the presidential candidates believe in.
Yeah.
So it's totally valid.
Yeah.
Wait, believe in Wolverine or believe?
That's the other percent.
That's only Kucinich.
I'm gonna go register.
Yeah. Vote Wolverine.
You know, so like how could this,
Wolverine.
you know, basically how could this happen in a comic book?
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I sort of threw in this little thing about, hey, by the way, if you want future writers, if you want to, you know, no longer have Wolverine, you know, get blown up by a nuclear bomb and come back to life, we can, you know, depower him a little bit. Because I think that was something the fans were really sort of clamoring for.
I think it's a great movie.
Yeah,
It was definitely one of those things where when I read about the fact that like when he dies, he has to fight someone, I was like, holy shit, every time? You know, I was just like, and it was great that you went back and then it was like,
Because you would have been happier it was like half the time.
you're probably like, all right, I don't have to fight anybody. Okay, good.
I'll tell you actually, like, you know, that I introduced that element at the end of my first, you know, my first run, and I didn't. Basically, what I wanted to
It was
do,
just like a side note. It was like, oh, by the way, I got to fight anybody.
I love that.
We
talked about that.
The idea was sort of like, okay, I don't right now have enough clout to depower him, but what I'm trying to do, in addition to answering my little fanboy question, is I'm trying to at least create some emotional stakes for the physical jeopardy that he's in. Because basically, I mean, Wolverine's healing factor has become, you know, so ridiculous. Unreasonable that there's no physical jeopardy that you can put him in that is meaningful, you know, from a storytelling perspective. So I thought, okay, well, what if...
From a skeleton a few months ago, it broke my heart.
Well, that's
You wrote that.
and that's what he's fixing.
Honey, there's someone else whose heart I broke. You guys can get together and talk.
This is actually the thing that I think is so great about this issue, honestly, is that, as you're saying, it fixes, not to use the same word, that issue. That now he is in a place where it's not, he can turn into a skeleton and come back from being a skeleton and be totally fine. That there, like you're saying, there are stakes for him.
That's a great party trick for Halloween.
Well, one of my favorite storylines with Wolverine of all time was when he comes back to the Australian desert and the Reavers have him and tied up. And modern Wolverine, if he did that, he'd be like,
Yeah.
and that would have been it. You guys know what I mean, right?
How did you do that again? That's fun.
That would break the podcast.
Tell me you got that.
Yes.
But this returns him to that level, which I think is really nice.
I'll be really, I for one will be really curious to see what writers who come after me do or don't do.
Yeah.
Is this your last issue on?
That's my last issue on.
Oh.
I mean, it was always a closed-end run. The same
Yeah.
the first one was a closed-end run, and you know, I'll be really curious to see if other people.
Like 3 issues later, they're like nuclear bomb.
Well, by the way, as far as I'm concerned, it's win-win for me. Let me tell you how. If people follow it, great. I've added something new to the character. If people top the, you know, filleting to the skeleton, then I get off that guy's shit list.
That guy's great.
I have thought about that